Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for this opportunity to speak with you this morning. Straight after coffee, so I hope we all have some caffeine and are wide awake. It's a pleasure to be here. It was interesting in this morning's presentation. I was just looking again at Ian Haydock's data that he presented this morning. Just a reminder that globally today there are 883 small molecule projects underway in clinical assessment. And of course most of those indicated for oncology will be potent molecules requiring some form of containment engineering for production. Those of you who were with me in Tokyo were also, on Tuesday morning I was reading the Financial Times, a very interesting article from Pfizer in the US, who have had some exceptional results this week on a potential blockbuster product for breast cancer. And they're saying that the analysts think this could go a blockbuster thing. So to set the context really that orally available small molecule oncology drugs, very important to us as mankind, but also very important to the industry. And this sort of sets the background really for the work that my company, Penn Pharma, began just 2 years ago when we set on a journey to design, build, validate a latest generation facility for the safe handling of solid oral dose products, tablets and capsules. And this is what I'd like to introduce to you today through a few slides. So this is, the photograph shows the new facility which opened in the middle of last year. And what we decided to do as a company was to take a lot of time to go to the marketplace, to talk to suppliers, to talk to engineering companies, to really see what was the latest generation engineering available today to control processes. And this is what we have done. So it's a new facility that has capability for development scale activities, so small batches for clinical supply, but equally a very good scale-up capability to run commercial products as well. Clearly with an international client base, we wanted to design a facility that was globally compliant. We are expecting visits from FDA and visits from other parts of the world, so we wanted a globally compliant facility. Clearly in this journey to design and to source and to validate the latest equipment, many of this equipment of course includes HMI interfaces, computer controlled equipment. And I guess what is clever, what is almost unique about this facility today is the standards of airborne particulate control. So it has very high levels of engineering control over particulates. It also has a very comprehensive cleaning regime. So virtually every piece of equipment that we have in the facility has either a clean-in-place system, a wash-in-place system, or a wash-off-line system, so that we can run very reproducible cleaning cycles to ensure that there's no carryover from one product to another, because this is a multi-product, multi-purpose facility. So one of the common questions I'm asked is how do we control APIs down to such a low level? So the facility is validated down to 0.01 micrograms per cubic meter, which is a very low level of airborne particulates. Obviously I mentioned through a very detailed search for equipment, and essentially a philosophy that each piece of equipment almost should be a clean room in its own right. If you go back 10-15 years in the industry, most facilities producing potent solid oral dose, you would find operators wearing air suits, working almost like an astronaut with an air suit. And today we just don't need that level of personal protective equipment because we can source the engineering within each machine in its own right. Clearly one of the fundamental parts of processing powders into capsules and tablets is the transfer from one process to the next. And throughout the facility, we have very high-grade containment valves and rapid transfer ports so that we can move materials without any loss of the containment from one machine to another. And then the other point I make really is fail-safe systems, so that clearly the air handling is very important throughout the facility, and we have obviously sophisticated systems to monitor and measure the air pressures in different parts of the equipment train. How do we manage this cross-contamination potential risk? As I've mentioned, each machine runs at a relative negative pressure. We've got a very high-grade HVAC system using single-pass air. Obviously, for certain suites, certain rooms within the suite, we can put airlocks, extra airlocks in where we've identified a higher risk. I mentioned the point about the clean in place throughout the facility. So this is how we have designed and managed and validated this new facility. So just a number of slides to run through the critical pieces of equipment. The first stage, which is the stage with the most risk when handling highly potent API, that is the part of the stage where we are dispensing API. And we've installed a very high-grade isolator. This isolator runs has two balances inside for weighing different ranges of materials. But again, the whole of the inside of the isolator, this hardwall isolator made of high-grade stainless steel, is fully washable in place. So obviously very reproducible and very secure way of maintaining it. We dispense directly into an intermediate bulk container which docks underneath the isolator, or we can use other, what's known as a HycoFlex bag. These are disposable bags with a built-in valve that we can use for smaller scale development batches. This next slide just introduces you to the development suite. So this is, if you like, our pilot scale, where we have a range of equipment, so we can granulate, we can fluid bed dry, we can mill powders, and then we can bring tablet cores back into the suite for small scale film coating. All the equipment, again, clean in place. This is mirrored, very similar equipment is mirrored in the larger scale, so we can do scale-up studies. This would take us up to something like 100 kilos. Same supplier, same philosophy. We've gone for geometric scaling of equipment so that we can assure a very good scale of processes. For those that have not seen this before, this is the latest generation encapsulation machine. This was built by Bosch. We were the second company globally to install this size of machine in our facility. Again, very high grade in terms of containment. The engineering that's involved ensures there is very little opportunity for spillage of dust and powders. And then, again, once we finish the encapsulation cycle, the machine washes itself. So, very, very clever machine. To support that, obviously, the other solid oral dose we find a lot is these tablets. We have installed the GDA Courtois machine. For those who are familiar with this machine or not, it has a central encapsulated turret. So this is the turret with upper and lower punches and dies. And the whole of that contains the dust, and that is removable, so that comes off the machine for washing. And then the final part, most of the tablets we produce in this facility, we would recommend are film coated. It decreases the risk of handling a product with a highly potent API. We sourced this machine actually from Canada. This is O'Hara's machine. And this was probably the area where we had to do most consultation with the industry, because at the time there really wasn't a robust machine available that had fully contained operation. But we've been able to work with O'Hara to design some modifications to the machine so that we can load tablet cores, we can coat the cores and take samples and then unload without any breach of containment. So I hope you can see it's a comprehensive facility. It's open, it's been validated, it's been inspected by the regulatory authorities, it's open for business. We are now producing GMP batches. And it was with our absolute delight that the first customer to sign a contract for the facility was a pharmaceutical company from Japan. And we're very pleased to have that association. So thank you for listening. I hope it's been an interesting introduction to a new state-of-the-art facility for oncology products.